YouTube just gave me a little notification in my dashboard saying it's my channel's birthday. It's 10 years old. And becoming a successful content creator has been anything but easy. But over the last 10 years, I think there is quite a lot that I've learned. If you're someone struggling how to make your content look good, grow on this platform, or just build a better personal brand in general, I think I've got a couple of little things that I can share with you. Things that I had have wished I had have known when I was first starting out. So here's 7 things. I probably should have made it 10, but here's 7. I want to give you an action plan that you can follow so that you can take all of these tips and put them into actionable steps to apply to your own content and improve it the same way that I hopefully have over the last 10 years. But before we do that, let's get to the first one, which is going to be tip 1. Now, I'm going to be building out this crazy cinema rig. While I tell you these tips, it's going to be like a budget-friendly one for the Sony a6700. I think it's going to be pretty cool and it's going to be next level. All of this stuff is from SmallRig. They were kind enough to send it over. They're an amazing company. But let's get to tip 1. Now, the first thing, and it's going to be a bit of a controversial and maybe a disheartening one, but business is always going to trump creative skills. You may have found that at some point in your career, you've been making really cool content and the quality feels high, the production feels really good, and the outcome of your videos feel really amazing. And that's cool, that's really cool, and it's nice to feel that way about your content. But you might notice someone else within your space that doesn't create as nice or as professional content as you, but for some reason they're surpassing you in building their filmmaking business, building a bigger clientele base, or growing on this platform if YouTube and content creation is something that you're focusing on. It can be really disheartening, but the thing is that the business skills are always going to trump the creative skills because understanding the back end is what's going to make the biggest difference when it comes to growth. It's unfortunately not only going to be down to how beautiful your content looks. Look at this beautiful box though, also from SmallRig. This is like a little kit for rigging out gear. It has everything that you would need. It has these little pouches for gaff tape. It has these little rockets. It has a whole box full of just like things that you might need. A memory card case, like all these different cool tools. This is a really cool product from SmallRig and it's made in collaboration with Andy Axe. Comes in this super cool Pelican. I just need this right now so that I can tighten this down. The second tip is going to be, it's so much more about what is in front of your lens than what's behind it. When I was starting out, I would spend so much time researching which lens to get, which is the best camera body that I can make my videos look cool. And the better way to actually think about this is how you can introduce better things in front of your lens. Because if you start to focus on how you can incorporate better visuals in front of your lens rather than what's happening behind this lens, your footage is going to end up looking a lot better. Things like locations, the lighting, the models that you're shooting or the outfits that they might be wearing. These are things that are going to really affect your overall look and feel of your image way more than what's actually happening behind here. Tip 3 is going to be that great videos are made with great scripts. You see, scripting is where it all happens. The pace of your video, the flow, the hooks and the payoffs, they're all created in the script, even down to the good shot ideas or something you might have to put into your videos. But if you don't have a clear and concise script that you're wanting to follow, your video is going to very quickly end up just being kind of all over the place and kind of seem like you didn't really have a solid plan to follow when you created it. And that's because of that cliche saying that says something like, failure to plan is planning to fail or whatever. That couldn't be more true for things like creating videos. Number 4 is going to be the best gear for others might not be the best gear for you. Ah. And the reason is because the style of content that you create largely dictates what style of gear that you might need. And just because some big famous YouTube influencer recommends like certain types of gear, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the gear that is going to be most beneficial for the style of content that you want to create. You need to figure out what type of videos you want to create and find other creators that are creating the same style of content and see what gear they're using. And also just really think about what type of content it is that you enjoy creating and that you want to spend your money on to get items and different gear that is going to work well for that style of content. All styles of different content means you need different styles of gear. It's not really one size fits all when it comes to filmmaking gear. Building out a rig like this is so satisfying. This is gonna be like the ultimate cinema budget rig. Like, it's not that budget, but it's budget in terms of like crazy rigs. But the next tip is gonna be one good client outweighs 50 bad ones. Let me tell you a little story. This is encouraging to say the least, and it's because as creators, we're constantly looking for new clients. And even if we want to make it in the YouTube space, you're still gonna have to rely on things like brands to be able to get enough income from your YouTube videos to be able to go full time in this. And the story I want to tell you is when I was just starting out with this, not right at the beginning, but I was only a few years in, I didn't have enough money or anything to go full time into YouTube, and I had to do a bunch of other client work to kind of fund myself while pursuing this whole YouTube thing. And that was until this one very precise moment, and I remember it so clearly. I was shooting for a day club. I was doing party videos in Greece, and I was sitting on this Greek island, and I started working with a brand that I still currently work with to this day. I created a piece of content with them that somehow completely blew up and ended up getting millions of views. It's one of my most successful videos I've ever created to date. And from that video, I built a really, really solid relationship with this one brand. And that relationship with that brand that was paying me what I was worth because my channel was getting more views now and I was creating super high quality content, allowed me to stop taking on any other client work and solely focus on creating YouTube videos. By having that one good client instead of the bunch of crappy clients I had that I was doing like free videos in exchange for stuff and things like that, literally like tripled my monthly income, which is what allowed me to actually go all in on being a YouTuber full time. So having one really, really good client is always gonna outweigh having like 50 bad ones. Check out this cinema rig. This is totally insane. It's sick. The V-mount battery on back, the monitor, microphone setup, side handle here for like extra stability. We got the top handle with the monitor mounted on matte box. Yeah, this thing's an absolute beast. You rock up to a set like this, your clients are gonna be like, oh, damn, we need to pay this guy more money. Tip 6 is gonna be being a successful creator actually has very little to do with creating. And when I was starting out, I'd always be focusing so hard on how did this person get this shot? How did they frame it up like that? What was their lighting? What was the color grade that they were doing? What were the LUTs that they might have been using? At the end of the day, that isn't really what's gonna help you become a successful content creator. This tripod is also from SmallRig and probably the nicest tripod I have ever used. What an absolute beast. It's so nice, light and compact. So sick. I love it when companies make absolutely amazing stuff. So you spend all this time and effort trying to figure out how to make this content look this way, and then you post a video and what? It gets no views. And the reason is because you need to understand what your target audience is and create content for that. So easy, right? But how do you figure out who your exact target audience is? You are the perfect person to answer that question. Figure out what type of content you would have liked to have watched earlier on in your journey. What would have been super helpful? What would have helped you have made better content? Or even just figure out what type of content you like to create now, assuming that you do create content within the space of what you're kind of like passionate about and the things that you would be watching on YouTube. What would you like to see? What would you find beneficial? Figure that out and create content for that ideal client avatar, and that is how you're going to build an audience. Figuring out all the LUTs and stuff, that's kind of the easy part and important, but not nearly as important to grow your channel as figuring out what your actual ideal client is and creating content for that exact person. Number 7 is going to be comparing yourself to others. Now this is a bit of a tricky one because this can very quickly become discouraging, disheartening, and kind of an unhealthy way to do things. But I'm not saying to bring yourself down by comparing yourself to others. I'm saying analyze what other people are doing and see where your content is different from theirs. Go and find the absolute best content creator that you can, one that you love, that fits within your style perfectly, and start figuring out what makes their content different from yours. Once you can see your content directly compared to someone else's that's creating the exact type of content that you would like to, it's easier to figure out what's going wrong with your content or what areas you could just slightly improve on. You can literally go as far as taking screenshots of the other creators. Maybe it's their YouTube studio set or their color grade in a beautiful outside environment, and literally put those screenshots next to your videos in your editing platform or whatever, and start like really figuring it out. Write it down and make a list. This guy's content, his colors are way better than mine. They're way more like perfect and poppy. His framing and composition is way better than mine. This and that, and you can go on and on and on. And I know that's contradictory to one of the previous tips, but it's because lots of these things kind of go hand in hand with each other, but also completely against each other. That's just the nature of this whole content creation and filmmaking process and project. So those are the 7 things that I absolutely think that you should focus on, and the things that I have learned over the last 10 years. Constantly improving your content is one of the hardest things to do, but it's an absolute must. This little rig from SmallRig is so cool. If you guys are interested in any sort of gear for filmmaking or anything that you see here, it's all going to be linked down below. Other than that, I hope you found this video useful. Here's to 10 years creating these tutorials on YouTube. I hope the next 10 years goes as well. I'll see you in the next one. Have fun. Bye.